What's up, guys? It's me, Joseph, and today we will be reading We Dream of Space by Aaron Entrada Kelly. Please show some support by liking the video and subscribing. Make sure to turn on notifications and press all to see all my recent videos. We will mainly be posting videos of us doing read-alouds, all sorts of different books. It can be anywhere from chapter books to kids' books to maybe even some novels and Harry Potter books and Harry Potter, Diary Wimpy, all those fun sorts of books. And we will get right into the book now. Ready for takeoff. The pinball machine didn't steal Fitz Thomas's quarter. Not really, but when one of the flippers is broken, there's no point in playing. As soon as Fitch realizes, something sparked inside him, something ugly and familiar. He stared at the slot where he sunk his quarter only moments before. Easy does it, Fitch. Just go to Mr. Hindley's office and get your own quarter back. No big deal. The blinking lights of the machine, Bright Star 1 it was called, seemed out of place in the small arcade today. Fitch looked around. He was one of the only people there. Maybe it was too early for people. It was never too early for him. Ready for takeoff, the lights blazed. He left them behind and walked to Mr. Hindley's office. The door with manager stenciled above the frame was open. As usual, Mr. Hindley was manager, owner, and staff. When quarters were stolen, he was the man to see. Fitch cleared his throat. Mr. Hindley, he said. Mr. Hindley looked up from his ledger. Henry Nelson Thomas, my favorite patron. What brings you to the front office? This was what Mr. Hindley always said, even though no one called him Henry, and Mr. Hindley's office was in the back corner of the small arcade, nowhere near the front. Fitch motioned half-heartedly toward the pinball room. One of the machines is broken, he said. Mr. Hindley placed both hands on his desk and stood up like President Reagan, ready to face the Soviets. That is unacceptable, Patron Thomas, he said. Mr. Hindley was what Fitch's mother would call an odd duck. But he moved fast. Within seconds, he was in front of the Major Havoc game in the center of the arcade, squinting at the screen. Not that one, Fitch said. He pointed at the Bright Star one. This one. Mr. Hindley raised his eyebrows. But you're a Major Havoc guy. One from all from one. Fighting for humanity and all that. Yes, it was true. On any given day, Fitch could be found at the Park, Delaware, arcade officially named the Pinball Wizard, but known to the locals as the Arcade on Main. Playing Major Havoc, a game that his best friend Vern repassed, said it was a Star Wars wannabe. Even though Major Havoc had been released first, but whatever. Vern was so obsessed with the Star Wars that Fitch had developed an unfounded resentment toward Luke, Han Solo, and a whole lot of them. Except Vader. Maybe. Vader was kinda cool. The more Vern raged on Major Havoc, the more dedicated and defensive Fitch became. And now he was so preoccupied with beating his own high score that Major Havoc in all his vector-graphic glory sometimes appeared in his dreams, demanding that he get to the reactor before everyone exploded. But today was January 1st, and Fitch had made a New Year's resolution to try something different. The last time he was here, his twin sister had come along and been entranced by Bright Star 1 with its spaceship and lights. She didn't want to actually play it. Video games were not her thing, but she tried to convince him to give it a chance. He'd snapped at her to leave him alone, then felt bad about it later, so he'd gone for the pinball machine this morning. Even though no one played the pinball anymore, and now look what had happened. Mr. Hindley made his way to the Bright Star 1 and tapped it efficiently. What's wrong with that? He asked. The right flipper is broken, replied Fitch. Mr. Hindley pushed the button. When nothing happened, he said, It's impossible to play a reactable game of pinball with just one flipper. Duh, Fitch thought. Mr. Hindley disappeared into the office and emerged seconds later with a sheet of paper that's out of order. Written across it in fat black letters. Out of order, he said again. The smell of magic marker wafted in the air as he tapped it across Bright Star 1. Thanks for the heads up, Patron Thomas, Mr. Hindley said. He smiled. It was wide and pleasant and took up most of his face. Anything else I can help you with? Yeah, you can give me my quarter, Fitch stopped, but he didn't say it out loud. The fire was too bright. The mood of a house. 10 seconds before Fitch's twin sister Bernadette Nelson Thomas opened her eyes, she thought, if there's a 5 on that alarm clock, it would be a good day. When the digital numbers glowed, 2:32 p.m., no 5s in sight. She assumed the first day of 1986 would be a toss-up. She shouldn't have slept so late, but she'd stay awake until 4 that morning, assembling a new desk for her room. The job would have taken 30 minutes if she'd followed the instructions manual, but 12-year-old Bernadette Bird, as she was called, was not one to follow instruction manuals. She threw it away instead, assembled the desk perfectly, then created a manual of her own. Her stack of schematics was growing, and thanks to the new desk, she now had a safe place for them. After she was forced herself out of bed, she walked quietly into the hall. Houses had their own personalities, and Bird liked to know which one she was walking into. She navigated around the hallway, cluttered laundry baskets stuffed with clothes, short stacks of books and magazines. A book of old toys included a Barbie that Bird had never played with, and her brother's plastic toolbox, which she had, and listened as she sidestepped the seemingly endless array of sneakers that littered the house like landmines. Her mother always said she would straighten up once she found a place for everything. But where would that be? They weren't cramped enough as it was. Her parents didn't even have their own bedroom. They had converted the small den into their personal space. That too was cluttered. Her parents were talking in low voices. That was a good sign. Bird continued into the living room where her father, Mike, was sitting in front of the entertainment center, fiddling with buttons on the new VCR. Her mother, Tammy, was stretched on the couch with a book, saying, "That was the whole point of getting a new one, or so I thought." Bird detoured into the adjoining kitchen. She moved stained coffee mugs and random pieces of mail out of the way, then took out a bowl and spoon and placed them delicately on the kitchen counter. She stared at the cereal boxes in the pantry. She usually had Apple Jacks on Wednesday, but maybe she should try something different. Fruity Pebbles? No, those belong to Fitch, and he could really pitch a fit. Hence his nickname. When someone messed with his things, shredded wheat? No way. There was a fresh box of Frosted Flakes for cash, and he usually didn't notice if someone swiped his cereal. But Bird wasn't in a Frosted Flakes mood. It wasn't the whole point, Tam, her father said. There are other people in this house too. Apple Jacks? Definitely Apple Jacks. Bird filled her cereal bowl 3/4 full, then milk. I'm well aware there are other people in the house, Mike, her mother replied. Who do you think does all the laundry after working 8 hours a day? Bird had misjudged the house personality. She'd been tricked once again by her parents. Low voices. She'd expected Dr. Jekyll 1-1, but it was Mr. Hyde. Good morning, Bird said, lifting her voice with as much enthusiasm as she could muster. Her mother looked up from her book. If tomorrow comes, it was called, Don't touch the sugar cereals, Bird. Those are for your brothers. You won't be skinny forever. I wonder how many times she'll say that sentence in 1986, Bird thought. She considered counting. Maybe she could make it a New Year's resolution. Bird returned the milk to the refrigerator. Where is everyone? Fitch is at the arcade and Cash is out with friends, Tammy said. I stayed up late last night putting my desk together, said Bird. She moved a spoonful of cereal into her mouth. It took me a while, but I got it. I even assembled the drawers and sketched a schematic of it. It's probably not the VCR's fault, Tam, her father said, eyes on the VCR. You probably didn't set it right. Her mother sighed and turned a page. I did exactly what the instructions told me to do. If you did exactly what the instructions told you to do, it would have worked. Bird carried her cereal bowl into the living room, moved a stack of newspaper off the armchair, and sat down. Their old VCR was on the carpet. A thin coat of dust and a tangle of wires on top. Bird had yet to disassemble a VCR. Now that would be a great undertaking to kick off the new year. She could remove the top of it easily with a simple screwdriver from her toolbox and take a bird's eye view of its inner working. Study the guts of the machine. Machines had the best guts. If you don't need the old VCR, can I have it? Bird asked. Her question disappeared just as quickly as it arrived. Your father told me this fancy new VCR would record days while I'm at work, her mother said. But today when I sat down to watch my show, the tape was totally blank. Didn't record a thing. What's happening with Dr. Evans these days? Bird asked quickly. Marlena Evans was her mother's favorite character on Days of Our Lives. Tam, which of these scenarios is more likely? Her father said. Leveling his eyes on her, he used his fingers to count off. 1, our brand new VCR is malfunctioning for no apparent reason. Or 2, you didn't get the settings right. Tammy laid the book face down on her lap. Oh, you're right, Michael. I'm far too stupid to follow clearly written instructions for a machine as complicated as this. No one said you were stupid. Bird chewed silently and focused on a speck of lint on the floor. I'd have to be stupid if I can't read and follow simple instructions. We're all well aware how smart you are. God forbid a woman with a college degree wouldn't know how to work a VCR. Tammy snatched the book off her lap and sat up. Lots of good that Bree did me. I'm working as a secretary for a bunch of... You're the one who insisted on going back to school and putting us in debt. Bird's father flipped through the VCR menu. Funny, you should talk about debt when you just spent an outrageous amount of money on a gadget that doesn't even work. Bird looked into her cereal bowl and thought of Miss Salonga, her science teacher. Before winter break, Miss Salonga said the class would dedicate the month of January to space exploration to celebrate the launch of the Challenger shuttle. Miss Salonga had taught them all kinds of facts about space. Not that Bird needed to be told. She knew many of them already, but the most fascinating fact was that there was no sound in space. Not really. Space is a vacuum, Miss Alonga said. If a piece of debris hits an orbiting spaceship, the astronauts inside would hear it, but someone outside wouldn't. As Miss Alonga explained the process of sound and molecules, Bird snapped a picture together in her head, like a puzzle. Then she imagined her brother and parents inside. Sorry, guys. Then she imagined her brothers and parents inside a spaceship, and her outside flowing in silence. Okay, guys, and here's a little picture. It's bird's eye view, video cassette recorder, VCR, and God of Basketball. We'll read that tomorrow, and that's where we left off, page 15. I hope you guys enjoyed reading this. I know it wasn't much, Hopefully we'll read more pages tomorrow than we did today, more than just 15 pages. I hope you guys have a good night, and hopefully you guys liked my video. It's, like I said, it's my first video. I'm gonna keep trying. I won't give up. Haters gonna hate. If you don't like watching my videos, that's okay. You don't have to watch it. You can unsubscribe and leave. But I'm just gonna try to grow my channel, and I hope you all understand that. And this was part 1, and we will have part 2 hopefully tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye, guys.